This is TradeFlow News, bringing you relevant news and insights from around the world. TradeFlow News, enabling trade for SMEs and economies worldwide.
These are some of the key topics that we will be looking into in today's program.
First, let's take a look at the overnight headlines which are impacting the commodity markets.
Australia has passed legislation that could set a precedent for who pays to clean up the fossil fuel industry in Asia, making former owners of oil and gas fields responsible for the costs of dismantling facilities if later owners fail. The new law provides a blueprint for governments tussling with the oil and gas industry over the removal of hundreds of obsolete energy facilities, particularly as the world moves to a lower carbon economy. The cost of decommissioning offshore facilities in Australia is expected to run to $40 billion, with half of that in the next 10 years. For Asia-Pacific as a whole, the cleanup bill is estimated at $100 billion out to 2050, say consultants Wood Mackenzie.
Oil rose more than 1% on Wednesday as U.S. Gulf of Mexico producers made slow progress in restoring output after Hurricane Ida and protesters blocked exports from two Libyan ports. Brent was up $1.06, or 1.5%, at $72.75 a barrel at 1340 GMT, and U.S. West Texas Intermediate, WTI, crude rose $1.18, or 1.7%, to $69.53 a barrel. Oil prices are continuing to find support from the ongoing high production outages in the Gulf of Mexico, said Commerzbank analyst Carsten Fritsch. Producers in the Gulf are still struggling to restart operations 9 days after Hurricane Ida swept through the region with powerful winds and drenching rain.
Moving on to the top news in the energy sector.
The Biden administration on Wednesday released a report showing that the United States can get 40% of its electricity from solar energy by 2035, a significant ramp up from its current share of generation. The Solar Futures study outlines how solar energy can help decarbonize the U.S. power grid and help achieve a Biden administration goal of achieving net zero emissions in the electricity sector by 2035. The study illuminates the fact that solar, our cheapest and fastest growing source of clean energy, could produce enough electricity to power all of the homes in the U.S. by 2035 and employ as many as 1.5 million people in the process, Secretary of Energy Jennifer Granholm said in a statement.
U.S. crude oil production is expected to fall by 200,000 barrels per day, BPD, in 2021 to 11.08 million barrels of oil per day. The U.S. Energy Information Administration, EIA, said on Wednesday, a bigger decline than its previous forecast for a drop of 160,000 barrels of oil per day. The agency said it expects U.S. petroleum and other liquid fuel consumption to rise 1.55 million barrels of oil per day to 19.74 million barrels of oil per day in 2021, compared with a previous forecast for a rise of 1.58 million barrels of oil per day. Next, we have the top news in metal markets. China is willing to buy more mineral and agriculture products from Mongolia and will work with it to ensure unimpeded trade across their border, China's Commerce Ministry said. Minister of Commerce Wang Wentao, in a video meeting with Mongolia Vice Premier Amirsihan Sainbayan on Tuesday, said China pays high attention to border trade with Mongolia and will promote infrastructure connections to expand trade. Amirsihan said he hoped China would increase the volume of goods crossing the border, import more non-mineral products and support cross-border container transport, the Chinese ministry said in a statement late on Tuesday.
Gold slipped to a 2-week low on Wednesday as strength in the dollar and higher U.S. Treasury yields outweighed the boost to bullion from deepening concerns about global economic growth. Spot gold was down 0.5% at $1,785.24 per ounce by 10:27 a.m. Eastern Daylight Saving Time, 14:27 GMT. U.S. gold futures fell 0.5% to $1,790.30. It's frustrating to gold market bulls that even though there's some keener risk aversion in the marketplace this week, the gold market sold off, said Jim Wyckoff, senior analyst at Kitco Metals.
We will now look at the top news in the agricultural sector.
Asia's grain and oilseed buyers are set to face shipping delays of at least 1 month after Hurricane Ida damaged key export terminals around the U.S. Gulf Coast, 2 traders and 1 miller said. The slowdown in supplies is likely to stoke food inflation fears for price-sensitive consumers in Asia, where many importers have already drawn down crop inventories after having been forced to curb purchases amid volatile crop prices and COVID-related supply disruptions this year. Importers led by top soybean buyer China, major corn buyer Japan and number 2 wheat importer Indonesia are likely to take a hit after top exporters such as Cargill suffered damage to grain loading facilities.
That is all for today's news on commodity markets. Stay tuned to TradeFlow News as we continue to provide you with more updates. We also invite you to follow us on Twitter at TradeFlow News, which allows you to watch our program on your mobile device or desktop to receive information from there.